everybody. Welcome to the preview of the 2020 New York Pro, featuring myself and this man, Giles Tiger Thomas, all the way from the United Kingdom. Look at that mask. That is awesome. This mask here, guys, if you want to say FU to the coronavirus, COVID-19, their link is in the description. You can get your MD FU virus face mask to stay safe so you don't breathe all the virus on people and they don't breathe it on you. And yeah, let me take it off though, so I can hear what the hell I'm doing. Woo! You can keep yours on. So, yeah, Giles, New York Pro typically is in New York, but you know, it's a weird year. We're going to have it in Tampa, Florida. Why not? I've got my powerhouse gym, Syosset, New York. That is Steve's gym. It opened up last week after almost 6 months being shut down. Your gyms are open over there or no?
Yeah, I've been open at least 4 weeks. Maybe I got 4 weeks in my head, but I haven't been training back more than once or twice a week. It's been shocking. I've been very slack, and I don't want to get used to being in this kind of routine because I want to get back into my training and put some beef back on. I don't feel right, I feel a bit skinny. So
the Olympia's coming up, guy. You got to get all jacked for the Olympia. Come on, yeah. This as we're speaking, we're recording this on a Tuesday, and this morning there was a special announcement that the international competitors, they're going to be able to get into the USA. They just have to contact the IFBB Pro League offices, and they'll tell them how it's going to work. Maybe there's a deal with President Donald Trump where they appealed to the president and said, "Look, we got an Olympia. It's very important you let these people in." Trump's like, "Yeah, that's cool. Let's go." So anyway, that's awesome.
Good for Hadi, that's good for Bonac, that's good for Rowley. That's a big weight off because I think a lot of people, especially after there was a few names missing at the Olympia last year, I think it's good that it'd be a shame if Ramy still get to qualify, but it'd be a shame if Ramy, Hadi, William Bonac, runner-up last year, Rowley Winkler, after a disastrous 2019, third in 2018 at Olympia. We really want to see him up there because obviously with the return of Phil Heath and Brandon Curry with a full year to prep, it's going to be an absolutely incredible Olympia. I can't wait, mate. Can't wait.
Well, let's focus on New York Pro happening in Tampa, Florida this weekend. Stronger lineup than I anticipated, especially because at this point we don't have any European or Middle Eastern travelers as far as I know. Actually, no. We have one here from Egypt, Hassan Mustafa. So there must be a lot less travel restrictions in place now than there were a couple months ago, is my only guess. We got people from Bulgaria, Poland. So I think Europeans can travel here now. Is that right?
Well, I saw Hassan Mustafa because I had him on Global a few weeks ago. It was 2 days ago. I think he posted. Yesterday he posted that he was traveling over. So I've heard nothing to the contrary that he's had any issues. So he's going to be at the New York Pro. So I'm very excited.
We're going to talk about him in a minute because I'm very happy he's coming back to that show. So let's start with open bodybuilding, guys. It's the class that the most people are very, very interested in. And this has a really good lineup this year. Let's start off with, in no particular order, because there's several heavy hitters here. So the order that we're talking about these guys isn't indicative of how well I think you're going to place. These are just all top guys. John De La Rosa, Toronto Pro winner last year, Puerto Rico Pro winner last year, trains with Flex Lewis. He's Flex Lewis's training partner. He's coached by Neil Yoda Hill. He's definitely a guy he's been second place at this show. I think he told me we did our interview. This is the 8th time he's done the New York Pro. He really, really wants to win this show. And I think he's got a hell of a chance, John. John De La Rosa, what are your thoughts?
John De La Rosa, he won 2 pro shows last year. What was he 11th at Olympia last year? Because I think Luke Sunday was, and I think he was 11th. And I think he looked great, but I think we're all a little bit disappointed because last year John started to get that kind of really good conditioning back, which he'd kind of lost, that he'd not really had since 2014 when he won one of the Europa shows, and he kind of just was missing the mark over and over again. And then he had all that upheaval in his life, and he moved to Florida and had to start over again. And then he got those 2 pro wins last year, and I was like, right, he's really going to crack. People were thinking he wanted to crack top 6 at Olympia. He just missed the top 10. So really, on paper, I think he has to be he has to be one of the favourites going in to win this. If he nails it, if he absolutely nails it, and I'm sure Flex and Neil won't let him get on stage if he hasn't nailed it. I mean, obviously things can go wrong. I think John has to be the favourite, but he's got to be crisp. He's got to be crisp. He's got those arms are got to be separated, and he can't be, 230 plus. He needs to be under 230 and really kind of get that, because he's so complete, John. But he has to be separated. And he has to be dry, or it's he's going to be second or lower again.
Yeah, I agree, man. Shape on him, the fullness, the muscles, a round, bubbly muscle. He needs that. If he brings that look, but you know what? Like I said, there's a few guys in this lineup, in the open lineup. Any one of these guys. Let's talk about Max Charles for a second. Max Charles was 8th place at the Arnold Classic. Not only the best condition I've ever seen Max in, he might have been the best conditioned guy on that Arnold stage. And a lot of people were deeply, deeply upset that he only placed 8th at the Arnold. He's done the show many times as well. He's a New Yorker. John said to the New York guys, this is basically their Olympia. They all want this title from the time they're amateurs, because they all have been to that show, and it's something that they strive for. So Max Charles, if he comes in like the Arnold, you remember, like veins on top of veins and just cuts you could sink your hand into. If he shows up like that, I don't know if these other guys are going to be able to beat him. What do you think?
I think Max is one of those guys, I think, towards the end of last year, I think, because he didn't look very good at the Olympia last year. He was way out of it. And then he did a couple of shows and he just kind of got worse and worse and worse. And I think a lot of us did say, actually, we all kind of thought that he was kind of on the slide. And then he prepped with Milos Charchev.
Charchev,
He corrected me the other week. Charchev, yeah. Milos Charchev. Sorry, I've got to say it right. And he prepped him. And like you said, when he walked out, it was like we all gasped, because the detail in his chest, his shoulders, I'd never seen that in Max Charles. And it was a real kind of return. I know he placed, I'd say only placed 8th, but I think many thought maybe 1 or 2 places higher. But I thought 7th, 8th was fair, because he still needs a little bit more from the back. I think when he in his back poses, I think he gets taken out by guys like Sergio and Steve Kucklow and guys like that. So if he's bringing that conditioning again, then absolutely he could be a threat to win this. He could be a threat to win this. And I think we're all excited to see if he can duplicate that condition from the Arnold. And also, you said he was the best conditioned. I think it was between him and Morgan Asti.
Morgan,
the big French guy, 6'4".
Yeah.
I mean, those two, talk about nailing it bang on. They nailed their condition absolutely beautifully.
Yeah. I kind of got hated on, because after the Arnold, some people thought Morgan, a lot of the fans, they don't know what the judges are looking for, and they thought Morgan should have won. My God, the guy has so much muscle in the condition, but he's not the prettiest physique. And I have all the respect in the world for someone that can bring that kind of condition with that much muscle mass. But like Max, Go ahead.
Sorry, Morgan was down to do the show, and he was messaging me a couple of months ago, and he was only a few weeks ago. He actually pulled out because he was prepping for this. So he was he was down to do this one, but he said he's going to shut it down now to 2021, and he wants to get even bigger. So
yeah, it's a tough year. My hat's off to any of these guys who prep for these shows, because this show was supposed to happen in May. Then it got pushed to July. Then it got pushed to September. And even at that point, a lot of people were like, is it going to happen? Because, it had to get moved to Florida. And that happened only like a month ago. Otherwise, there was going to be no New York Pro this year, which would have been terrible. That's, after the Arnold Olympia, New York Pro is the big show, the big title to win. Let's move on to an exciting young guy, 25 years old, out of Canada, Quinton Aria, Quint Beastwood. He's only done 2 pro shows. He was Toronto last year, 5th place, Vancouver, which had a hell of a lineup. Hadi Chupin, Nathan Dasha, Ian Valliere, and he managed top 6 in that. He's much bigger. He's added 15 pounds of quality muscle since then. I'm very anxious, because you've interviewed him before. He's got the potential, the structure. He's like a classic shape on a 6'1" bodybuilder frame. Yeah, I know it's a long shot for him to win, but man, I'm looking forward to seeing his improvements.
If anyone's a potential Mr. Olympia, it's Quinton Aria. At 23, 24, the physique he was bringing. He's tall, he's got the wide shoulders, he's got a perfect X-frame. His quads are absolutely ridiculous now. I didn't see that he looked 15 pounds heavy from the photos I've seen, but I didn't really see that he was that much bigger apart from in the legs. I think maybe he's carrying most of that in his lower body. Still think he needs a bit more back. It got from the front, his lats look amazing, but in the back shots, the rear lats and the rear double biceps, I think that's where he kind of will need to keep improving that area over the next 2-3 years. But I mean, there's a guy with guys like Rafael Brandeo, you know, these early mid-20 guys, you know, these are going to be the top 3, top 6 Olympia guys, you know, potentially way before they're 30 years old. I mean, when you think about the top 6 Olympia guys being almost like 40 plus, and the Dexter at 50, Quinton Area, I mean, if this guy is the future, I don't know what is.
Yeah,
amazing.
Young, and he turned pro naturally. I think it was 2018. So I mean, he's really just starting to fill out his frame, and that's a big frame. His waist is still tiny, so yeah, that's a kid we're going to be seeing a lot more of over the next couple of years. Third, the next guy I want to talk about, he was third place in Tampa. You just had him on MD Global Muscle, was Dwayne Walker. He was definitely one of the surprises in Tampa. You know, I'd never even heard of the guy before, but man, everyone's heard of him now. And yeah, you know, a lot of people at that show were saying maybe he could have won the show, which would have had him ahead of Hunter and Ian. I don't know if he was going to beat those two necessarily, but he was definitely in the mix and in the running. Phenomenal physique on this guy, Dwayne Walker. What do you think of Dwayne?
Absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I had him on the show a few weeks ago. He's moved from Jamaica to Florida, and he said he's going to be doing, because he did obviously third at Tampa. That was his first show as an open, because he actually came, I didn't realize he competed as a 212 last year, because I knew I'd seen him from somewhere. And when I had him on the show on Global Muscle, he says, no, I was a 212 last year. And I said, well, hang on a minute. I said, you look tall. I said, you're wide. I said, you look like, because normally I'm pretty good with the height and weight. Yeah. But he's 5'7" and 225, and the weight very, very classic, very good separating. In fact, Dennis James on Global Muscle coming out tomorrow, and he had a lot of good things to say about Dwayne. So check that out. It's going out. It's uploading now, actually.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Dwayne. But he says he's doing Chicago. He's doing New York. He's doing them all. He really wants to get to the Olympia this year. He said, look, I've moved here to prep, and he says, so I took a year off. He said, so I'm doing every single show that I can do in America this year. Yeah,
I mean, if he does that, if he pulls that off, gets into the Olympia, considering literally a month ago, nobody knew who this guy was. Let's be real, nobody. And you know, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. He was a little more obscure, but now he's a name. People are looking for him, and I think it's a good idea for him to do all these shows, get his face out there, get the fans accustomed to seeing him, and pushing the top guys. And yeah, I wish more of these guys would do more shows.
You know, if he gets through to the Olympia, I'd be interested to see him up against Hunter with a few more months of prep. Because Dennis James said they never actually put Dwayne next to Hunter at Tampa.
Right.
He said you didn't get to see a direct comparison. They always had Ian Valliere in the center. So it's going to be really interesting to see, you know, like with, you know, see who can pull ahead maybe potentially. Hunter might completely leave him in the dust, or Dwayne might just improve. Much like Hunter did when he was due to do the New York Pro in May, that when it got put back to September, he was looking good in the run-up. And then between May and like the other week, he just kind of grew into the show, and he just looks, and he went from good to sensational. So let's see if Dwayne can do the same.
Next up, Patrick Moore from Texas. Patrick Moore, no joke. He is no joke. I know he did not look the way he wanted to at the Arnold. He had flattened out. He should have been a lot higher than 10th place. He should have been fuller. You know, I was following him leading up to the show, and even after the show, he looked a lot better. Just a couple days later, it's tough for these guys when they mess up with the water or the carbs or something, and they miss that window, and it's all that work for nothing. But he's been working very, very hard, show improvements, and he wants this title badly. He really wants to win, because right now he's got one pro win under his belt, the California Pro, 10th place at the Olympia, 10th place at the Arnold. So a New York Pro win here would really set him up with some good momentum heading into the Olympia. It would also qualify him. He needs to qualify for the Olympia too. Yeah, Patrick Moore. What do you think?
Patrick, I mean, he was just probably the talking point of the Olympia last year. I know he got 10th. He did that amazing posing routine. You could see the influence of Lee Labrada, because obviously he's with Labrada Nutrition. And he was just he was one of because there were some guys that weren't really hitting their peak, but this guy really kind of came out, and he went from, you know, winning Cali Pro, and, you know, because I think was he 8th in the New York Pro in 2018. So he's a fast. The thing is with Patrick, he's a very fast progressor. So in 6 months, if he's really, really been, you know, focusing hard, and I think what happened at the Arnold, I think if he seems to have you can tell there's the influence of Phil Heath. He has that mentality. He's very, very level-headed.
Yeah.
And and I think 10th place at the Arnold, with how he looked, I think that would have really put a fire under his ass, because there was a lot of expectation, and there was, Sergio versus Patrick, and, and Sergio was like 5th place and Patrick was 10th. It wasn't even close. Right, as soon as he came out of the Arnold, it was like, the legs are soft. He's not big, he's not huge, so he needs to be conditioned. Right. So for this one, I think I'm going to be interested to see if, as long as he nails it, I think he's going to be a factor. He's definitely going to be a factor. I would like to see him next to John De La Rosa, because there's a guy that he really needs to kind of, well, he actually beat him at the Olympia. So, there you go. So there's a bit of a close matchup there. So with Patrick, to be honest, he's kind of gone off my radar a little bit since the Arnold. I only realized he was competing until a couple of weeks ago. And then but he hasn't really given too much away, not like he normally does. Normally puts out posing pictures all the time on Instagram, and he's gone a little bit quiet. So I think after the Arnold, he probably thought, right, I'm going to shut, obviously with the pandemic and, and there's nothing else to do but train and focus. I think he's one of these guys that's going to have used the last few months to really, really focus hard, because this is a guy who desperately wants to move up. And I think a lot of people expect him to move up. Yeah.
And, I'm very, very sure, barring calamity to one of these guys, I'm very sure they're both going to be in the first call out, De La Rosa and Patrick Moore. So we should get to see them next to each other compared very well. Yeah. Next guy, Hassan Mustafa from Egypt. To me, he was the biggest surprise a year ago at the Tampa Pro. He got 5th place, and it was really, had he been crisper, had the condition been better, nothing against the other guys, but he could have won that show. He's got so much mass, so much round, full muscle, really nice shape. Just needs a little more crispness, dryness, detail. He reminds me in a lot of ways of Ramy, but better shape than Ramy, better flow. Hassan, very, very impressive. I'm glad he's doing this. I was worried that, because I hadn't heard anything about him. I didn't know when he was competing again. I thought maybe he was one of the many pros who were taking 2020 off, because this is a messed up year. And I don't blame anyone for just saying, no, I'm not going to do anything this year. I'll wait till 2021. But yeah, we're going to see this guy, the Egyptian. Does he have a nickname yet? Let's give him one. Egyptian.
I'll give him one. I'll give him a nickname. Give me 10 minutes.
Okay, the Egyptian Monument? I don't know.
Right, with Hassan, honestly, if he nails his condition, and I think he will, because he's prepped by Chris Aceto, and if that midsection is looking nice and tight, which it was in the picture he posted the other day, but you never know. And I spoke to him and his girlfriend, she translated when she came on. When he came on Global Muscle, and they're very aware of the midsection, and they said it is something to do with when, because he's on a lot of muscle, so he needs a lot of food to kind of fill it out. Yeah. So I think to be honest, if you look at him and you really give him a tiny midsection, to me he reminds me of Lee Priest.
Wow. Okay, that's a cool comparison.
His arms, I think he's probably got, along with Rowley and Phil Heath, I think he's got the freakiest arms in open bodybuilding. You really look at the pictures, really look at that guy. The guy is literally hanging with thick muscle. And to be honest, I think he's the wild card to potentially win this. I really think.
Oh, absolutely. Let's not forget his quads. That guy's quads are crazy, but he didn't go too far like Ramy. Ramy, your quads are too big. Stop training your quads. I'm telling you right now. Seriously. But Hassan, I totally agree with you. If he nails his condition, shows up in crazy, dry, crispy condition, it could be lights out for these other guys. Next up, these Canadians are being very sneaky with this show. There's a couple of them that they didn't tell anyone they were doing the show, and one of them even denied he was. Anyway, Antoine Vaillant was supposedly getting ready for Cal Pro, which is just a week later. Maybe he's going to end up doing both, but I've been waiting to see Antoine again on stage. He did a comeback in 2018 where he'd been gone for 5 years, went through his problems, and he got clean and got his life together. And man, he's got a hell of physique on him. Some of the best legs in the sport right now. He posts these pictures, his quads, oh my God. But, he tore his bicep last year, so he missed the 2019 season. But he's made a huge, huge comeback. He's looking phenomenal. I'm glad he's doing this show, because I'm not going to the California show. So luckily I get to see him at this one. You been following Antoine at all?
Oh, absolutely. Antoine's one of my favorites. In fact, he's one of my favorite people to interview.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, because I really felt for him last year when he ripped his bicep and he was moving his dumbbell, wasn't he? And he was looking so good in the run up, and you could see the comparison pictures of how he looked when he competed the year before, and he just looked so good. And he was really like, and because he's tall, he's big, he's kind of everything we want in a good tall, big open pro, and then bang, he rips his bicep, and it was like, no. And we were all messaging him, mate, like, you okay? Just keep your head on. He's like, yeah, I'm fine. So it's really good to see him back at it. I've seen big improvements in his legs again. So Antoine, do you think Antoine could win?
I've seen so many strange things happen in the sport over the years. I would never say this guy can never win. Why not?
Yeah.
He's not lacking anything. He's got a hell of physique on him. And it could come down with all these guys. It could just come down to who brings the freakiest, craziest condition. Because we've got a lot of guys here that we're talking about with tons of mass, beautiful shape, small waist. So what's it going to come down to? Could just come down to who really brings that crazy conditioning. Maybe Antoine will.
Antoine's one of those guys we really do want to see move up, because because of his, the trials and tribulations he's faced in the last 7 years, and he's such a well-liked character. I think this is someone that I think I can imagine the New York crowd, the Tampa crowd, or whatever you want to call it. I can imagine them just going off it if he's really up there and he's really nailed it. He's a good poser, but I'd like to see him next to his friend Quinton Aria, because they used to train together, didn't they? Because they're both from the same area. So that's going to be.
They still do train together. They're coached by the same coach, Dorian Hamilton. They live in the same house. It's called the Muscle Mansion. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Antoine.
No,
yeah.
I'm all rooting for all these guys, but I'm especially rooting for Antoine. I love him.
Next guy, Justin Rodriguez, who I've seen him look really good and not so good. Not the most consistent guy with conditioning, but when he's on, very impressive physique. He was 5th place at the New York Pro last year. It's going to come down to the condition that Justin shows up in, because he's capable certainly of top 5 at the very least. And, I don't know if he's ever won a show. I don't think he has, but, I don't write any of these guys off. I've been surprised at so many shows over the years where somebody I wasn't even thinking about as far as a potential winner comes in and wins the show. I know you've seen Justin several times, many times. What's your opinion?
He was 7th place at the Arnold. I think it was 2 in 2018. And to be honest, he's got the kind of the top level pro thickness and size. Like, he's got those crazy arms, he's got nice aesthetics, he's got good legs, but he's very, very inconsistent with his conditioning. I've seen him bring really bad conditioning, and once or twice, like at the Arnold in 2018, I think I'm sure it was 2018 when he took 7th, like just missing top 6, at the Arnold Classic. He's one of these guys, he's just on the verge of breaking into that next level up, and he's one of those guys that really is. We're waiting for him to step up now. So I hope he nails his conditioning, and I really, because he's, like you said, if he's nailed his conditioning, there's no way he's going to be outside of the top 6.
Yeah. The way you said that reminded me of Akim Williams, because Akim was somebody that he just could not bring condition for years, and I was like, just forget this guy. I got tired of waiting for him, and then boom, he figured out his conditioning, and now he's getting those call outs, and he's getting much, much better placings.
Good comparison. Good comparison.
Bulgaria gives us Dobromir Velev. I've seen Dobry as a 212 a couple times. Very impressed with his physique. So much thick, dense muscle. Really nice shape on this kid, and he must have put some muscle on if he's no longer a 212. So I'm curious to see how he stacks up against some of these are big dudes we're talking about here. He's not lacking in size at all. I don't think he's the tallest character. Neither am I. But I'm very interested in seeing Dobry. I haven't seen him compete in a long time in person, anyway.
He's one of these guys that looks really good as both a 212 and as an open. Like, he doesn't look 100 times better as an open. He looks equally as good. So it's hard to kind of work out this guy, because I think he said when he's got no weight restriction, he will still bring very, very good condition at like 230. So this guy's got very freaky muscle, very like Hassan Mustafa, the kind of just that full round vascular kind of freaky kind of, which I'm sure the New York, Tampa, whatever crowd are going to absolutely love. So it's confusing, isn't it? Yeah. But here's a guy that, here's another guy I think we expect could potentially be stepping up at this show. If he brings it and one of the other two guys, the bigger names, say don't, he's going to be stepping up. He's going to be a factor 100%.
Yeah, yeah. I hope he is. I mean, I've been a fan of his physique for 4 or 5 years at least now. I've been waiting for him to sort of step up and make a name for himself so that more of the fans are aware of who he is. Last but not least was the runner-up in Tampa to Hunter a couple weeks ago, Ian Valliere. Now, I was in some post, somebody was asking me who's doing New York Pro, and I listed a few guys and I tagged them. And Ian said, "Who said I was doing this show?" And I was disappointed because I wanted him to do this show because I know he missed his peak. A couple things went wrong with his whatever, his protocol at the end toward in Tampa. And I know what he's capable of looking like. And he didn't really have that fullness and the tight, it didn't all come together the way it should have. And I know how good his physique looks when he's 100% on. And I was hoping, please, Ian, you should keep going. Do New York, do one of these shows, at least one more before you wrap it up for the year, just so, you go out on a good note. And Ian is doing that. He's coming back. Thank you, Ian. But yeah, Ian Valliere, another wild card, tons of size, grainy condition. When he's on, as you've been impressed. It was the Olympia 2018. I think we were all really impressed with the look that he brought.
I mean, he was 11th place in the 2018 Olympia, and he was one of those guys that he was kind of the best guy outside of the top 10. He just looked like a Mr. Olympia next to those other guys outside the top 10. And he's kind of not hit the mark last year. He kind of didn't hit the mark again in Tampa. But here's a guy that when he nails it, he's prepped by Patrick Tour. And Patrick sent me some photos, I think, about a week or two ago. And he did hint to me that maybe New York Pro was on the list. He said, "Don't say anything." So yeah. So
why do they do that? I mean, what do they think the other guys are going to start dieting harder now that they know that they're in the show? I don't know.
But here's a guy that if we can improve upon what he brought in 2018. He's I think he went to Tampa by himself, and I heard that his tan wasn't very good at the pre-judging, and he was stressing because he was by himself and he wasn't filling out enough. And Patrick said to me, he said I think it was after the Friday, he said they kind of lost control of how he was looking and how his physique was responding. I think maybe anxiety or stress. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But here's a guy. I mean, do you think he's got? For me, I think he's got probably the best side tricep in open men's bodybuilding. It's absolutely incredible, and he's kind of
it's Dorian-esque. Put it that way.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Now, I just want to see him, not redeem himself, but come with a package that he's happier with, and Patrick is happier with, and something that they can go right. Okay, wherever we place, we know that we nailed it, because I know he was disappointed by what he brought to Tampa, even though he took second place in a very, very good contest.
Yeah. And, I think a lot of the athletes I talk to feel exactly the same way. They're not in control of how they place, so they can get upset about if they feel that they weren't placed where they thought they should have. But I know it's very upsetting when they didn't bring the look that they know they wanted to bring just because, they tried something or there's so many different factors. And like you said, he went to Tampa by himself. I can't imagine doing a top level pro show, traveling to another country and having nobody there to help you, nobody to go grab your food, do all the little things that you need done, because there's a lot that goes into those last couple days, and I wouldn't want to have to do all that on my own. Let's move into 212. I'm looking. There's a few guys, so I'm not going to discount anybody, but I see this coming down to two guys. First one I want to talk about was Bo Lewis, who was second to George Peterson a couple weeks ago in Tampa. This is a guy who's leveled up from last year for sure. He just turned pro in 2018 at the age of 40 at the Universe. Most guys who turn pro as a Masters, you're never going to see them again. You might see them on the edge of the stage, 16th place with 20 other guys or something. But
yeah,
he's really made a lot of improvements, and he's somebody he asked a lot of people, myself and other people who he felt had a good eye for critiques. What do I need to work on? And he took all that and he went to the gym and he made those, because his legs were not good when he turned pro. His hamstrings in particular, they were not. No, they were mediocre at best. He brought them up a lot. His back was nothing special when he turned pro. And I told him, your arms he's got these giant arms. I said, your delts are good, but when you have arms like that, you better get those shoulders a little wider and more capped. He did all those things, and he's the one who pushed Peterson. I wouldn't say he was going to beat George. George looked pretty damn great. But Bo was the talk of that show, at least it's the 212 division. And a lot of people all weekend were talking about this Bo Lewis guy. because yeah, I mean, up until then, he was second in Puerto Rico Pro, but it was a very small show, so it wasn't a big accomplishment. This Tampa Pro had a decent sized 212 lineup with some really good quality to it, and he still managed to beat everybody except George Peterson the third, who's a three-time third place at the Classic Physique Olympia. I haven't heard you rate Bo yet. What do you think of Bo?
I think he's absolutely fantastic. I think the improvements he's made. I've got nothing to compare it to because, like you said, his arms and his back and his legs have really come up. But I loved his condition. I loved it. Like some of the saw some pictures I put online of the side tricep and the side chest. I think it was in the hotel room, and I was like, when someone's peaked perfectly and the crisp separation and it's consistent. You get some areas that are hard. You get competitors and then they get soft areas. He was from head to toe. He was just crisp. It was like, there's a guy who's really done his homework. I was so impressed with him, and he's going to be to be honest, he's going to be a threat in every single 212 contest he's done, because that Tampa, that was a good. Remember we were doing the rib preview, and we said, this is going to be a really, really good 212 lineup. I mean, George Peterson was just so dominating, but I think like you said there, I think Bo was one of the talking points of the entire contest, and it's especially considering with all the competitors can bring improvements like that through everything that's happened this year. I think it's extra impressive.
Yeah, and right behind him in Tampa was Derek Osland, Weapon X Pro, or Weapon X IFBB Pro on Instagram. Derek lives right there in Tampa, so I figured he would do this show, and I'm glad he's doing it because he looked damn good in Tampa. But he lost to two amazing. He lost to George Peterson the third, and Bo's phenomenal. I think he's going to be a threat at the Olympia this year. He just needs to get some points and qualify. He's definitely moving up.
Yeah.
But Derek, gym owner there, Flex Appeal Miami in Tampa is the name of the gym. And another guy who really took the whole improvement game to heart. He was lacking some things a couple of years ago, and he's brought him up, and he's put on the size, because I said shape is great, structure is great. You need to be bigger, you need to be harder, and that's what he had. That's what he brought to Tampa. He's on the rise, as they would say over in the UK.
Yeah,
that's what he's
second in. Yeah, he was second in 2018 at the Tampa Pro to Nicholas Vuliud, and it was really he was really on the rise. And then in 2019, it kind of all went a bit, he was like 8th and 9th, and it was really kind of dropping off. And I think, sometimes you get guys that just kind of just fall away, but he, like you said, he took it to heart, and he really, really trained hard for this one. And he, like you said, he did his job. He made those improvements. He came in bigger. He still managed to, because he's got such an incredible, that's why Weapon X, because he's got that perfect X frame. It's incredible. So I'm really, really, I really, really hope, either one of those guys could win. And but I'd like to see both of them at the Olympia. That's for sure. But Weapon X, he still needs back and arms. He still needs a little bit more, for moving forward, but his legs, everything just looks amazing. He's got a really striking shape, a really striking.
When you say X frame, you look certain poses, his front double bicep and his front lat spread. It's about as the epitome of an X frame as you're going to find in a physique. It's just lats just go woof, and quads woof. So on the rise. So that's a 212. And there's other guys, of course, but we're trying to get through this. Classic. Who's that?
Sorry, can I give a special mention to Adolphus Quido, because Adolphus.
Yeah. Adolphus.
Yeah, he's really good. He won Toronto
last year.
Toronto last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
very,
really
very good. I saw him beat. It came down to him and Mahmoud El Dura, and I had never heard of Adolphus before, but very impressive. Very impressive. Yep. Classic physique. My favorite for this is Logan Franklin, who was a former men's physique pro, board shorts. Last year, he made his debut in Tampa, took third place, had some work to do, and he's been hard at work for an entire year, a little over a year now, working on putting on more size in general, the legs, the back, the chest. And I follow him on social media, because he has a column in MD, so I talk to him pretty frequently and follow him on Instagram and YouTube and all that, and very impressed by the improvements this guy has made. I think he's got a hell of a chance to win this. Logan.
Yeah, totally agree. I think if Chris Bumstead can win the Classic Olympia, then I think this guy fits the bill for a pro show like the New York Pro. But yeah, like you said, just need a little bit more size and a little bit more. But he's like the way he poses, he kind of embodies the classic physique for me 100%. So yeah, he's definitely for me. Yeah, he's definitely. I think he's the favorite going in, surely.
Yeah, a couple other guys I'll just mention real quick. A gentleman named Tony Tavares, who was second place at the Savannah Pro a few days ago, and Amit Roy from New York, who was second place in Chicago Pro to Wesley Vissers. Amit's been working hard. And good luck. Great guy. Like Amit a lot. Women's bodybuilding, I confess I didn't recognize all the names, but of the ones that I did recognize, Kim Buck is someone I've seen many times, and she's tough. She's going to be very tough to beat. She was just second place in Savannah. You've seen Kim before. What do you think?
Yeah, well, because I was looking at the pictures from the Savannah Pro last week, and last weekend, and her physique really, her shape and her physique really stands out for me. I think it's a really nice example of female bodybuilding. It's kind of fits the bill for female bodybuilding, as in not physique, but to me, she's the one that kind of my eyes are drawn to, and that who I think is really really good. I think she's fantastic. Yeah, must be the favorite.
Figure has a big lineup. A couple of them were in the show just in Savannah that we just talked about. The winner, Nicole Zenobia Graham, she won that. She won the Tampa last year. She was second at the New York Pro last year. So she's got to be my favorite to win this show. Nicole Zenobia Graham, World of Zenobia on Instagram, people.
Yep.
From Massachusetts, Maria Luisa Diaz, she's done very well in a lot of shows. She was just third place at the Savannah show. Sandra Grajales, of course, we all know that name, from Mexico. She was second in Tampa last month. And of course, Anna Banks from Poland, who just took fifth place at the Arnold back in March. So pretty stacked. There's 25 figure competitors, and a lot of names. So it's going to be like I want to say another Arnold Classic lineup, but it's going to be a damn good lineup for women's figure. Women's physique, Mayla Ash, who I think you had her on Global not that long ago, didn't you? Yeah. So she was 11th place at the Olympia. Definitely one of the favorites for women's physique. Christina Bittner, who was just fourth place in Tampa last month. Olivia, her real name is Bian Ring. She's a character on Instagram. She's from China, but she's been trapped in the USA for 8 months now.
8 months?
Yeah. She came over to do the Arnold. They wouldn't let her compete because I think China at that time was going crazy with COVID cases. So they wouldn't let her compete. She came all the way here for that, and she's been stuck. They won't let. I don't know if she can't go back but she's been in the USA for 8 months now. So she wants to get to the Olympia, so she's been training hard for this. And Jeannie Feldman, tremendous competitor, just took second place in Tampa last month. So pretty decent. I recognize a couple of the other names. So yeah, this show's got some really good competition in various divisions. Any of those names really stand out to you?
How many competitors have they got in this show? I mean, it must be 100 at least, surely.
Yeah. I didn't do the count on it, but it's gonna be a good lineup for sure. They broke up the judging into everything's happening on Saturday, but they broke judging up into two groups. So this is how it's going to go. Judging A is at 8 a.m. That's going to be women's physique, men's physique, classic physique, and 212. They're going to have a little break, I assume. I hope so I can go to the bathroom. Judging B is at noon, and that's going to be women's bodybuilding, figure, bikini, open men. And then finals for all the A divisions will be at 4 p.m., hopefully another break. And then finals for the B divisions will be 7 p.m. So it's going to be a long day and night for sure. But they're getting it all done in one day because a lot of these shows now are 2-day shows, which it's fine. It's just, it's a long 2 days. I'd rather get it all knocked out in one day personally. If you're going to, why not? I do want to talk about just real quick, men's physique. The one name I recognized out of all the competitors was Anthony Gilks from New York, who was 7th place at the Olympia last year. Anytime I see somebody in the top 6, 7, 8 at the Olympia doing a show like this, I have to make them my favorite, just based on how high they're ranked and who they've beaten to get to that point. So Anthony, that's my favorite for men's physique. Any other competitors that I didn't mention that you wanted to give any special notice to?
Yeah, in the Open, there was one that I thought you were going to mention. See, I really like Dorian Hayward. I really like his physique. I really like
Dorian.
him.
That was not a slight. You know, I love you. You're a cool dude. I like you a lot. Yeah, he had a ton of mass.
Yeah.
His condition is coming along, and he's very animated on stage, very intense. I'd like him to grow his hair back. He has nice hair. Anyway.
I remember seeing him at the 2017 Tampa, and I really, even though he didn't get a great placing, he really kind of stuck in my mind, you know. And one of the guys, that Matt Kuba from Illinois.
Yeah.
Impressive. He's had some good placings in pro shows, so you know, there's a guy that could certainly be making top 10. Sorry, so you know, I think that Open, and also Phil Klahar as well, who got 4th at Tampa.
Jamaican Tank. I just had him on Ronline. Yeah, if I'm not mentioning guys, it's not because I don't like them or anything. It's, you know, we only have so much time before people get tired and stop watching. So we gotta sort of run through these. But yeah, Phil looked phenomenal in Tampa. Made top 5. I think it was fourth place. It beat a lot of quote unquote names. He could definitely be up there for sure. I could see him first call out. Why not? So yeah, it's gonna be a good show. New York Pro. It's going to be strange, of course, having it in Tampa, Florida, and not New York. I don't know how many New Yorkers are going to make it down, because the New Yorkers are very, very boisterous, vocal, enthusiastic crowd. I don't know if I've ever seen a crowd quite like New York, but you know, Tampa's not bad. It's Florida. There's not many people in Florida when I go to these things that are actually from Florida. A lot of them they move to Florida from the northeast part of the New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, whatever, Connecticut, and they end up down in Florida. So it's really a lot of the same people, but I'm looking forward to it. It's always New York Pro is always a good time. Yeah.
So you and Mike Cox are going to be doing the coverage.
Yes, and we're also supposed to work with Milos Sharshev on the wrap ups. Yeah, I love Milos on the wrap ups because he does not hold back at all.
Milos brings the views, and he's very, 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 very knowledgeable. He's someone I really keeps me on my toes. You know what I'm like with my facts and stuff, and he's someone who will pull me on certain things, you know, and I like it because he really is like I feel like there's someone I can really combat with. You know, he's fantastic. It's like Dennis James. He's the same. I mean, he might be on Global tomorrow. Just giving you a hint.
Yeah. Oh, Milo, who's that? Oh, you got some extra stuff coming into Global. We're keeping it quiet for now.
Got one new segment coming on for the episode tomorrow in episode 6. Next week I've got another new segment. So that's 2 new segments to the show. And then I might even be adding a 3rd on episode 7 as well. So because I really want to make this show, I'm going to add to it because it's an interview-based show, long format interview, in depth. But I'm looking to add to make it a really to cater for everyone. So there's really going to be starting to evolve it now, because now we've got the production perfect. You know, it took a while, but we got there. But yeah, I really want to start building it now, and building the kind of you know, the levels of content and everything. So so everyone's kind of happy, you know. So and reaching out to all the different categories, and you know, I mean, even had a men's physique on recently.
Yeah, why not, man? I mean, it's a very popular division. So I want to close this out by making sure everyone knows. I believe there are some tickets still available. They're at half capacity for all these things in Florida, which is much better than no audience at all. Trust me. Bevsgym.com, BEVS Gym, GYM.com. Also, there is the pay-per-view information. This is going to be streamed live on pay-per-view, $19.99. So, you know, you don't have to go to Florida. You don't have to worry about wearing a mask. You can watch it from the comfort of your own home on your smart TV or whatever. So that is all on bevsgym.com or the Instagram bevsgym. You can find all the links and all that. And of course, we Muscular Development are going to be doing full coverage at the event on site. Mike Cox and I are going to be doing play-by-play. Hector Mendoza is going to be doing still photos, videos, interviews, paparazzi pictures. My goodness, it's just going to be, we're going to get a lot of content for you guys. Trust me, as much as possible. Yeah, that's it, man. Yeah. Well, Giles, I wish you could be there, man. Yeah, guys. Yeah, if you want to say F you to the virus, check the link above. It's there. I wouldn't recommend wearing the tiger mask unless you're Giles Tiger Thomas, though.
Yeah, copyright.
Yeah, I don't think everybody could pull that off quite this. Yeah, that is awesome, man. That's good enough for Halloween.
She makes me leave it on.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that another time. We'll have to get some details. But anyway, guys, so yeah, please come to musculardevelopment.com this Saturday, September 5th. The show starts, all coverage starts at 8 a.m. Eastern. It's going to be going on probably till about 10 p.m. that night. That's my guesstimation. So it's going to be a full day night of crazy coverage, guys. I'll be getting all kinds of stage shots for you, play-by-play, paparazzi, picture interview. My goodness, it's just going to be crazy. Big Mike Cox, Milo Sarshev. It's going to be a nice team. So yeah, we're gonna do our best to knock it out of the park. The coverage for you guys. That's what we do. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Giles Tiger Thomas. Remember to tune in to his show, MD Global Muscle. How does your name fit into that? Is it before or after? I can't remember how it goes.
All right.
It's called, what's the name of the show? It's MD Global Muscle.
MD Global Muscle.
Isn't there a Giles or a tiger somewhere, or is that just in the logo? I don't know.
The tiger paw print. Yeah.
Tiger paw print, and there's like a roar. Roar.
It's 9:15 EST time tomorrow. I'll be on the YouTube live, so you can come and say hi. And I think so. We're going to get some of the athletes, some of the actual guests on as well if we can. So come and say hi, and and get interactive, and hope you enjoy the new segment. Ooh.
I can't wait to see what it is. I'm intentionally not asking you, not even off camera, because I want to be surprised. I like surprises. I don't want to always know what's going to happen. Yeah. Well, Giles, thank you so much for taking the time. Like I said, I wish you could make it out to this one, but it's good to have another great quality show. Man, we need this year, 2020, we really need to get back on track. We need to get this all going back to normal. So this show is a big step toward making that happen. Great lineup. All the usual suspects will be there, and the fans, the media. It's going to be a good time. So yeah, that's it. Thanks everybody for watching this New York Pro preview with Giles Tiger Thomas. We'll see you next time.